Hey everybody, welcome back to At the Buzzer. I'm joined as always by Jack Tiernan. Jack, first, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. We're here. So
Yep.
more trade talk
Second
to come.
episode today
That's
that
right.
we recorded has been a busy trade deadline, but finally, the move that feels like it's been the longest in the making because it's been so out there for weeks. Jimmy Butler has finally been traded. Where's he going?
He is going to probably one of the most hated franchises in the National Basketball Association in the Golden
He's
State
coming to
Warriors.
the Celtic? No.
Yeah, oh my that's next year when he requests a trade. So
Yeah,
that
right. No, sorry, I stepped on. He said that he's going to the Warriors.
Jimmy Butler to the Warriors. It's official. After initial reports came out earlier this week that said he wouldn't sign an extension there, he signs immediately a 2-year max extension after waiving his player opt-in for next year. Um, Jimmy Butler's a Warrior. Him and Steph Curry, combined age of 71 years old, but that's okay. That's a duo, and they're gonna do stuff together for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah, so tomorrow, or I guess if you already watched the episode from today or tomorrow when the clip drops, when I say Jimmy Butler scared the Warriors away, he didn't, I guess. He didn't
Apparently
scare them
not.
away too badly. So, yeah, very interesting. Let's go through the trade. Who gets what? There's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of people involved. Can you just let us know how that all went down?
Yeah, definitely a shakeup. I hate to say it like this, but it feels like a shakeup for a lot of non-contenders, and I feel like that's a bad way to put it. But to be honest, I don't know. Miami's not playing great. Golden State is probably the closest to a contender that gets anything from this. Maybe Detroit. I don't know, but anyway, we'll start with that. Those are three names that I said right there, and that's barely half of the teams that are involved. So, uh, thanks to Jake Fisher, who kind of laid this out for us pretty handily here. Golden State gets Jimmy Butler, obviously, as well as him on now a 2-year extension beyond this year. So for now, 2020, or the entirety of 2025 and 26, and then 26, 27. So that's pretty cool. Detroit gets Lindy Waters III and Josh Richardson from the Heat. Miami gets Andrew Wiggins and PJ Tucker, who's coming over from Utah. Wiggins obviously coming from Golden State. Utah is then getting Dennis Schroeder, who was for a little bit a Warrior. And now Kyle Anderson is also being sent from Golden State to Toronto. I don't really know how Toronto got involved in this. Miami's also receiving in return for Jimmy a first round pick protected. So doesn't it may not convey. It might. I mean, we'll see what happens. Obviously, depends on where the Warriors finish. But I do think overall, like lots of moving parts. The only thing that really matters is that Jimmy Butler's a Warrior.
Yeah, so what does this do for the Warriors here? Are they instantly once again competing for a title?
I think, I mean, Golden State has been decent this year, to be honest with you. I think, I don't know about, to be completely honest, if this makes them a contender. I think, obviously, any team with Steph Curry is a contender. I think that's safe to say. It's the same as you can say about LeBron, right? Um, so, what's weird about this is at the time of recording, the Warriors are actually playing the Jazz, which is now Dennis Schroeder's new team. Would love to see that if he just like had to get up and walk over what's going on with that. But the Warriors.
He's going home with them.
Yeah, yeah, he's like, I showed up with Golden State and I'm leaving with Utah, which is
Yeah,
that's weird. I think the Warriors are a 500 team right now, basically. I don't know if this is like a now thing or if this is a kind of like, let's see what we do and we'll kind of go from here type of thing, right? Like, let's see what next year looks like. They're locked into Jimmy, they're locked into Steph. So I don't really know. They've got enough of a young core, right? Where you look at Brandon Podziemski, I guess a couple they're like Moses Moody, like those type of guys, Jonathan Kuminga, like where they could do something, I think. I don't know if Steph and Jimmy are enough to do like the thing, especially now you're looking at some other of those teams in the West. Like, I don't know if this team beats basically on the shoulders of Steph and Jimmy. Like, do they beat even the Clippers in like a 7 game series? Like, I'm honestly not sure. So to me, I feel like this is a lot of like, we're trying to do something here. We're trying to build around Steph, if nothing else, like goodwill for him. But I don't really, it is a high magnitude trade. I don't think it's a needle mover, not this year at least.
right. That makes sense. And like, I guess, what is Jimmy like? What kind of void does he fill for Golden State? What does he bring that they were missing?
He kind of is just like a better Andrew Wiggins, like to be completely honest. Like, I think
Right.
Wiggins was taller, and I think Jimmy, frankly, is a little bit more of a volume guy.
Mhm.
Wiggins, especially the last couple of years, has like kind of dropped off. To be honest, ever since their last finals
Yeah,
run
they
against us,
won when they beat it,
yeah,
yeah.
literally, like that was to me. I think, and I think to a lot of people will say like that was Wiggins' last like actually good season. Like he's
Mhm.
been fine, he's been serviceable,
Some would
but
say it was his first too. No, just kidding.
that's honestly that's a fair point. Yeah, ask Minnesota. So I
Yep.
think like in reality, he like never really ended up being what he should have been, and
No,
that's kind of
definitely not.
and this I don't want to say like this is the end of Andrew Wiggins, but I mean, for what it's worth, like I don't really know what
Yeah.
he might be something in Miami. I'll be totally honest, he might be a better complementary piece to Hero and Bam than like what Jimmy was, right? Because Jimmy is a little bit more ball dominant, and you look
Mhm.
between Steph and Jimmy, that's going to be an interesting pairing. So I guess that's really it. Jimmy's better in the post, and Steph obviously the greatest outside shot ever. So I mean, in theory, that should work pretty well. I think it'll be really interesting to see how the volume's distributed between the two of them.
Yeah, and I guess on that point of the Heat, like, do you think this keeps them in contention with, Andrew Wiggins? Do you think this is more of a, like, "Okay, we weren't gonna get Jimmy Butler to play for us again, so we're just kinda punting the season going forward and trying to figure stuff out."
I think this was sort of a breakup that needed to happen anyway. I think it was definitely just expedited, obviously, by Jimmy being suspended 3 times in like a month, right? Um, for me, I mean, the Heat are the 7 seed, right? This is a trade between two 500 teams, to be completely honest. Like, I don't think again, Jimmy is a better player than Wiggins. Um, I don't think just because Wiggins may be a better fit around Hero and Adebayo that this is gonna make them better than again, like I look at this and I'm like, do they beat the Pacers in a 7 game series who are the 4 seed right now? Do they beat the Bucks in a 7 game series who also have retooled? I don't think this is enough of like a special move to actually do anything. That's my thought.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair. I guess we'll just have to wait and see how it all
True.
plays out. Um, Anything else about this trade before we move on to the other trade we gotta
The other
talk
trade.
about?
Yeah, no, I mean this definitely was I would say the primary of the ones we
Yeah.
haven't hit yet. But
Yeah,
no, I
this is
think
a thumbnail.
that's true. I mean, I will say good for Jimmy. He essentially complains his way from one like world class destination to another. So
Mhm.
good for you, man. Happy for you. After living in
Yeah,
Minnesota and Chicago, like he's like, let's go somewhere warm and nice, and he's got it. So
yeah.
kudos, man.
Taxes, though, tough in San Francisco versus Miami.
That is a great point.
Yeah,
That is a really good
yeah.
point. He needs that super max or
You
not
know,
super
you
max. He needs it.
yeah, you moved to Florida, no state income tax, that's
That's true.
pretty
I'm
nice.
extra couple hundred, but yeah, man, like that's
Yeah,
listen, we'll take it.
yeah, San Francisco, California, on the other hand, a lot more taxes.
That's for sure. A lot, a lot.
Yeah, so, congrats to Jimmy Butler, like you said, he got out of Miami. Um, if you can't find your happiness in Miami, I don't know how you're gonna find your happiness in California, but,
Me either, man.
yeah,
Good for you,
but,
I guess.
right, right. If someone was in, like, Minnesota or Boston was like, "Can't find my happiness during the winter," I'd be like, I get it.
Yeah, for
Same.
real.
But, yeah, so what is the other trade going on?
The other trade is a lot tinier. It is we have sorry, I think it was Jonas Valanciunas, who I love as a player. I think you talk about like a glass heater who can put up 10-ish points a night. Um, that's kind of the guy, right? Love that. So it is, if I'm correct, it was Jonas Valanciunas to Sacramento for I think it was City. I don't even know how to pronounce his name if I'm being honest. Is it City Sissoko, and two
Okay.
second round picks. So the essential purgatory of the NBA in Washington gets 2 second round picks and City Sissoko.
Yeah.
That's how much I know about him. So I can't even say like, oh yeah, dude, good young player. I no clue, but
Yep.
I
Well,
think interesting dynamic between yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, I was just gonna say, what does this do for Sacramento here? Why'd they make this move, essentially?
I think this is an interesting move for Sacramento. I don't know if they view Valanciunas as a backup to Sabonis, or if they're gonna. I assume that we'll see a couple two big man sets out there with those two guys. Valanciunas can shoot the three. Sabonis is not exactly like shy when it comes to making shots, and he kind of like talk about a triple double threat every night. Like you've got Sabonis as like your primary center, and now probably facilitator. Like this team is going to run through him a lot now. That De'Aaron Fox is on San Antonio, so I think this is going to be maybe it might have some growing pains in Sacramento, but I think it could be a really interesting build and fit. Sucks that it's not with De'Aaron Fox because I think actually it would be pretty sweet to have Fox running the point there right now. But I mean, it is what it is. I think Valanciunas is a good get for anybody on the value that he's on for this contract, especially when he was going to rot away on the Wizards anyway. So good on them.
Yeah, so we'll see. Do you expect any other trades? I don't Kevin Durant out with ankle soreness tonight. What could
Yeah,
that mean?
I don't know. Some ankle soreness is a pretty typical trade bait conversation, I
Yeah.
think. So I don't know, man. I think if I had to pick, I don't really know. Also, just found out Kyle Anderson is actually not going to Toronto. He's staying with the Heat. So I don't know.
Oh,
That doesn't.
Jake, let us wrong.
Jake, unbelievable, dude. I think that just changed. I think there was something
Okay.
that was like, just kidding. We're gonna keep him for some
I'm
reason.
glad you're still on. Well,
I know, me too.
yeah.
That broke great timing, guys. So I don't really like Kyle Anderson if I'm being honest with you. His shot is painful and I
Mhm.
like he's called slow mo, right? If you've ever watched him,
Right.
if you've never watched him shoot, go watch Kyle Anderson making a three flips because it's really painful.
Alright.
Um, but do that,
Queuing it up after this.
yeah, 100%. Cue that up. But I think I mean, maybe Kevin Durant, right? I think
Mhm.
I saw that Lonzo Ball, instead of being traded, actually signed an extension with Chicago, which is pretty sweet.
Alright,
That's a
that's
great
good.
comeback
Yeah.
story. Yeah, I love Lonzo Ball. So good to see him kind of get his feet like back under him in Chicago, which is the team that ultimately signed him in free agency.
Mhm.
So before those injuries derailed him, I like that. I don't know, man. I don't know what other teams like, those are kind of a lot of the big pieces. Seems like Bradley Beal's not going anywhere.
Mhm.
Seems like to me, Kevin Durant's probably not going anywhere. Those are the 2 that I look for from Phoenix because they're not really doing much out there right now. So,
Yeah.
we'll have to see where they end up, if they end up.
Yeah. Well, I follow a lot of people from the Miami, like, sports world, so they're all hoping to get KD, but I feel like probably not now. Now if
I
Jimmy
yeah,
Butler didn't go to Phoenix, then I don't know how they would possibly pull that off.
no, I don't know what assets they'd have to give up to get him either because we know Phoenix paid a ransom basically. So,
Yeah.
I don't know,
That
man.
was
Yeah,
2 years ago, right?
Yeah, not last season, but the season prior, I believe. So he's been there for a minute, has not done really enough, unfortunately. I mean,
Mhm.
not necessarily on him. It's the supporting cast and the people they gave up to get him. So
Yeah. Always
Mikal
have
Bridges
that
was one of
barn
those.
burner of a game between Phoenix and Dallas after both KD and Kyrie got traded. That was sick, but,
That was yes, agreed. That was about it though.
yeah, that was the peak of that
That
for
was
the
the peak.
Suns. The Mavs at least made the finals, and now, well, you can watch our other
Yeah,
videos.
that that's a great point.
We're talking about the Mavs now. But
Insane,
yeah, I love the NBA because, well, 1, it's just a great league. I love basketball, but
for sure.
I love trade deadlines and off-season moves. They're so much more exciting than the NFL. Like, the NFL will have, a Tyreek Hill trade once every, like, 3 years where it's like, "Oh, wow, that's crazy." A big name got traded for a bunch of picks. Every trade deadline, every offseason, there's something
Always.
interesting happening in the NBA.
Always.
It's
Yep, and
incredible.
it could be a dude who was traded last year, right? Or he signed a
Mhm.
deal last year, right? You think Kyrie Irving was a Celtic for 2 years before he essentially was the worst and then got traded to Brooklyn, and then
Right.
the James Harden Sixers era was literally a year. So,
1
like,
year, yeah.
that's it. It's that stuff, it happens so quick. And I think the difference, right, is and this is a tangent, of course, but you've got positional need there, and
Mhm.
there's 11 dudes on the field at any given time, and then you look at the NBA is 5, your entire roster is 15 people maximum.
Yeah.
So that's where it gets like each of those people feels like a true gap, right? Whereas there is a lot of different athleticism and skill set that goes into each
Mhm.
position at the NFL. So you got to basically be able to jump and guard and shoot, and that's how you're going to make it in the NBA. So it's
Yeah.
interesting to see like where everybody shakes out to. I'm a huge yeah. If you're not an NBA fan, change it. But if you're also not, why are you watching this? I guess.
Right. Yeah. You're 14 minutes in.
Yeah,
You're
what are
already
you doing?
15. But yeah, and like the NFL prime's a lot shorter. So it's like for
True.
someone to get traded in their prime, insane. You know,
Yeah,
it's usually
so
the
true.
end of the career where someone will either get released or like Miles Garrett right now requesting a
Yeah,
trade after 8 years, being like, "Hey, I'm 30.
took
I'm
me
like the
somewhere.
best defensive player this franchise ever had, but I would love to win a championship before it's all over."
And
You
they're
know?
like, "Nah." So, it's just like Jimmy
Yeah,
Butler.
we'll see. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna get quite as insane as the Jimmy Butler situation, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah,
All right,
for
Jack.
sure.
Anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Sure, you can follow me on Instagram or actually, sorry, on Twitter. Definitely on Twitter. I'm tweeting like a madman right now, especially with all this trade deadline stuff going on. So follow me there. That's at Jack_Tiernan.
All right, follow him there. And main channel, of course, we get everything nerd pop culture videos. This channel, we get sports, and our podcasting channel for non-sports is Better Radio. I'm also on Twitter at the fake BMR, BMARR. Jack, thank you so much for your time.
Of course, Brian, thanks for having me.
We'll see you all in the next one.